So he got it closed. But Chris, tell us.
All right.
Tell us what's going on.
Sure. Thanks for having us out. We appreciate it. I've been in the title insurance industry for about 27 years. Brandon, 10, 15 years. We met. He worked for me at another title agency, and then we decided a partnership. The reason we partnershiped with Diverse Title and became business partners is he and I went to, we're in 36 states, but we went to Detroit to a meeting to bid on a contract for the city. And it was with our other title company, and when we left, they said, "Oh, so you're a veteran dome?" Yes, I was in the Marine Corps. Great, and you're white. You're not gonna get it. What? So Brandon was there with me, and he goes, "Look, let's just start another company and make me a majority owner, and you're the licensed agent, and we get licensed all over the country." And then we start bidding on contracts. So that's how Diverse was born, is through that experience that we had, because it was a very, very lucrative contract. The city of Detroit destroys approximately 500 houses a week. A week. And the problem was they were not searching the properties before they destroyed them, so they had been sued multiple times. They destroyed a commercial building that a gentleman had purchased and had all his material delivered. It was on the roof, and he drove down there to watch a wrecking ball go through the building and start destroying it. So they lost it. So that's why they were trying to get a title company to do all the searches. So that's what we do. I am a licensed agent. Brandon's an escrow officer here in Texas. I have my licenses in 36 states. One of the things that makes us different than your typical we have brick and mortar, but like when you see a Fidelity Title, right? Or you have an Old Republic, or you have First American offices, those folks are direct operations. So they have somebody to answer to. We are an independent agent. We are no different than your car insurance agent, right, that writes you an Allstate policy. We can write a policy on multiple underwriters. But we are responsible for what we do. Which is why and Roger and I have known each other. I'm a past district governor of Rotary International. That's how we met. And then Roger's also in Rotary International. So with us, I met Roger, met Dennis. They're going to talk about equity insurance later. But we started talking about the sub-twos, and I said, yeah, we can close them all day long. Why? Because we understand it. We know how it works. We close sub-twos all over the country because we understand that anything that we're going to do, we take a risk on. Now, I think we were just talking about it out in the hallway. If you go to a First American, and again, look, I'm going to just be honest with y'all. Title insurance is a scam. Look, I've been doing this for years. I'm just saying, it's a $25 billion a year industry with less than a 1% claim rate. But the problem is when you have a claim, it's a big claim. We just finished a lawsuit in Ohio that was going on for about 3 years over $1 million transaction that we did the whole trial by Zoom call, which is a little weird too. But again, the claims are big. So that being said, it's still a risk. What does this do? It protects your risk. And when we tell people about this, like people all the time, they go, well, what do you do? Well, I own a title insurance agency. Well, what is that? We used to go around, Roger and I, we would go to different Rotary events, and at this time I had a Rolls that I would drive, and they go, what do you do? I go, oh, I own a title insurance agency. They go, what is that? So you try to explain it. Well, what does that mean? Well, if you're about a house, yeah, you remember all the paperwork you signed? Yes. Okay, remember that spreadsheet you got with all there and all that money you paid and you don't know what you got for it? That's us. And so then they said, so it got to the point I got tired of explaining it to people. So like I got some cards made that said I work at Subway. So people are like, well, how are you driving this car? Well, I work at Subway, because nobody understands what title insurance is, right? Half the time these folks don't get it. And when you start going through things going, oh yeah, well that's us. Well, that's us. Oh, you get all this money out of this? Yes. But you get protection. And that's the difference. The other thing that we do that a lot of your typical storefronts don't is we clear the title work for you. We handle 100% of that. So You know, you got dead people in title, right? I'll tell you a quick story. It's really funny. So we were closing the deal, and there were 7 children, right? Mom died, 7 children. Let's do heirship affidavits. Let's get these things changed around. They sent them all in. We're getting ready to close. All of a sudden, they go, oh, we're missing a child. What? What do you mean we're missing a child? No, we're not. There's 8 children. No, there's 7 children. No, there's 8 children. Robert never signed, but Gloria scratched out Robert's name and wrote her name in there. We'll get Robert to sign. No. Robert became Gloria. Robert became Gloria. Had surgery, became Gloria, didn't want to tell anybody at the title company. So we're like, where's Robert? Well, Gloria is Robert. Well, can we get a note from his doctor or something and get him to sign the documents? Right? So how many of you have ever done a real estate transaction when everybody's deceased and you can't, and somebody's living there, but you can't ever find anybody to handle it? Right? We deal with that all the time. Adverse possession. They're already there, right? Adverse possession. Look it up. We use it all the time. That, especially down in the South, there's a lot of times, because back in the day, you never put, and look, this is not me, ladies. I didn't make this rule, but back in the day, they wouldn't put women entitled to property in the South. But then the guys died, the women lived there, and now they're trying to sell the property or do something else with it, and they're like, well, you're not entitled, because they wouldn't allow them to be entitled. Adverse possession. So we can use that kind of stuff. So real quick, so somebody tell me something you've always had a question about. Because here's the one thing that I can 100% tell you is the absolute truth. If you call us and you say, this is my situation, I'm going to hear everything you say, and I'm going to say, if everything you told me is 100% true, we're either going to close it or nobody's going to close it. Because at the end of the day, we have a $5 million E&O policy that backs up the decisions we make. And he and I have phone calls all the time. He's like, what are you going to do? Get the risk? How much is the deal? How much is the deal? We had one in, the investor properties, they were buying it for $8,000, right? Then they're going to flip it and they're going to sell it and everything else. What's our risk? $8,000. Well, wait a minute. What's the likelihood that somebody's going to come back and file a claim on this? Very small. And if they do, how much are we out? $8,000, right? So what? Let's take the risk. This is one thing you need to know about title insurance. It is 100% a risk business, and we have to make those risk decisions based on business models, not necessarily what the underwriters say. That's why some of your storefronts won't take exceptions, won't take things off title, because they've got to answer to somebody higher up, number one. Number two, they get a paycheck every single month to either close or not close the deals. Why would they want to take the risk? We don't. If you don't close your deal, we don't make money. So somebody give me a question you've always had about title that, like, held up a deal. Anything.
We have a property that adjoins another property, and nobody wants to do this. It's like you said, it's, this person died, and she has siblings. She was mentally challenged, and there's about 6 siblings. Half of them are passed away, and everybody's like, no, we don't want to do that.
But a lot of reason they don't want to do it is because they don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number one, do the work. Number two, it's just a matter of drafting documents that allow you to show a history and a chain of title. And so if you got 6 siblings, 4 are deceased, okay, you track it. If there was no will, what does it pass by? The laws of intestacy. I asked a loan processor one time, they called me, and they said, well, this person's dead. Did they die testate or intestate? You know what she said? I don't know what they died of. What? No, did they die with the will or without a will? Like, what are you talking about? Come on. No, I don't know. There's always ways, look, there are always ways to fix transactions. And I tell everybody this. Look, you've got your number one way, the perfect solution to clear your title work. It may be filing a lawsuit, filing a quiet title action, going to court, doing all of that. Then you have the bottom over here, which is the absolute worst way to do it, which is just ignore it, right? That's the worst one. And then you have where we operate and you all operate as investors, in that gray area in between. What is gonna protect you? What is gonna protect us? What is gonna protect your lender? If we can come to an agreement that everything that we're gonna do is gonna protect everybody, we close the deal. So, any other questions, comments, snide remarks? I like to leave it open.
I've got one in New Orleans that, it has a $350,000 SBA loan that it was used as collateral.
Okay.
And defaulted on. It's got $10,000 back taxes. The seller, my seller, I'm a wholesaler, so I'm wholesaling it. My seller quitclaim deed to it. So it's got a SBA loan that was defaulted on for $350,000. It's got $10,000 in back taxes. It's got the seller quitclaimed it to another seller. I have the original seller's signature on the contract, so I don't even have the actual owner. There's two quitclaims after this, and we can't find the actual seller. I've already got a buyer signed at title, like it's ready to close, except that we have no actual seller.
Chain of title for the seller. Well, again, that's where we can definitely look at the transaction, and we'll always look at the transaction. You can ask Roger, they call anytime, and we'll look at the transaction. For that particular transaction, we would just have to document where everybody started and where we're ending now, because again, you gotta remember, we had one, for example, let's say one of your sellers, right? We had a lady that they were buying a piece of property, the husband got deported. He can't ever come back. So they were selling it. But he wasn't entitled, but she was married to him.
You can't come back and testate.
Right. So he was gone. So what is our risk? It was a $12,000 transaction. Who is the only person that can come back and file a claim stating that that was their property? Him.
And he can't come back.
He can't come back. So why not take that risk? And again, this client that sent us this deal, they also send us about 80 transactions a month. So I'm like, you know what? It's worth us taking a risk to close this, because again, the only person that can come back is that guy, and he's not coming back, right? Yes, ma'am, you had a question?
So I've got 2 lots that I'm looking at, and the gentleman just found out a couple years ago that he has a mechanic lien on it that he did not know he had. They originally, when they purchased the property, was going to build a Jim Walters home on it, and they ended up, that fell through, so they ended up getting a double wide mobile home. Later on down the years, went to sell it to the brother-in-law, got a mechanic lien. Jim Walters has done foreclosed or bankrupt, and the attorney that handled the bankruptcy has passed away.
Yeah, but again, in order for a mechanic's lien to be valid, there's certain steps that have to be taken. You have to send notice of how much is owed, what is owed. What we would do with that
They
is,
never did a deal though.
what's that?
They never did a deal.
Correct. So we would just leave that off, not include it as an exception to coverage, and close the deal. Because who's the only person that could come back and say, you shouldn't have closed that, we're gonna hit on the policy?
Jim Walters, and they're out of business.
Right. So I tell everybody, look, we like to use a common sense approach to title work. If a dead person is never gonna come back and file a claim, I mean, you know, they were down there waiting for JFK to come down to Dealey Plaza, right? Most of those people down there were title agents that closed deals going, please don't come back. They never showed up. But it's common sense. When we go talk to a lender, a new lender, I find all the loan officers and said, look, I'll make you a deal. We did a training for one. I said, I'll make you a deal. You go find me the last 10 transactions that your current title agency would not close, and you just let it go down the road. You go find them. You give them to me if they haven't closed. If I can close 5 deals, you got to start putting us in your rotation to get deals. We have never had anybody send us 10 deals that we can close 5. Because again, it's a risk analysis. And we talk about it and go, you know what, let's take a risk. Or let's not take the risk. Anything else?
I got
Yes,
another
sir.
one.